G'day. 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 I'm sorry to all the Australians I've just offended deeply. So, as you might be able to tell from this change of scenery, I made it to Australia! Yeah! I just wanted to jump on here really quick. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but I wanted to talk about some of the things and the steps that I took kind of working my way up to getting here in order to make my transition here a little easier. There's definitely the option to just, you know, not prepare anything, show up, figure things out as you go, but I thought this would be helpful. I'm someone who likes to be really prepared and like have everything organized before I get somewhere and before I do something big. So I thought this might be helpful to some of you who are similar to me in that respect. It's kind of broken up into a couple different categories. There's things you can do like once you have your visa and your plane ticket, and then once you have an address here, and then once you get here. This is mostly for people who are going to be living, like having flatmates and having a house like address, but this should also be helpful for those of you who are planning on staying in hostels and like doing work for accommodation and that type of thing, because you can probably still get mail sent to those hostels beforehand, but it's helpful to have an address just to have things set up before you come here. I pretty much waited until I had an address to do a lot of the main stuff. So obviously like get your visa first and then get your plane ticket, because just in case you like don't get approved for your visa, you don't want to have this plane ticket that now you can't get refunded. Once you know like the dates that you're going to be here, then you can kind of start to plan a little more. And so when we got our address about a month or two before we were coming here, is when I started to do a lot more. So as soon as we got an address, I set up a bank account. So I wanted to have a bank account down here so that I could transfer all my Canadian money, not all of it, but like have money waiting for me when I got here. So I went with ANZ. You can go on their website and just kind of set it up as someone who's already overseas and is not in the country yet. And then from that point, all you can do is transfer money in. You can't spend the money, you can't do anything with it except transfer money into that account. So as soon as you get here, you just verify, you go to a branch, pick up your card, verify your identity, and then you can have access to that money. So I'm glad I did that, because then I had money waiting for me as soon as I got here. Next thing I did was get my healthcare. I went through Bupa, which is apparently a really well-known one here. I got one of the cheaper options, but it covers me for like all emergencies plus like GP visits and some like prescriptions and stuff like that. So that I think is costing me about 50 Australian dollars a month. And that was one of the cheaper ones. And then you can go up from there and you can add like dental, eye care, like and extras, but I just figured I could add things on as I needed them, but I don't think I'm gonna need anything super extensive. So get your healthcare. Next thing that I tried to do, but ended up doing once I got here, was getting a registered Myki card. So a Myki card is basically the like public transit card that you use all the public transit in the state of Victoria. So there's equivalents in I think every other state and every other city. In Melbourne though, they use the Myki card. So I wanted to get one that was registered, which basically meant like had my name on it and had more protections. If I like lost it, I could recover the money and stuff like that. For some reason it like didn't want to take my credit card when I tried to do it. So I ended up doing it once I was down here, but that's something you can do if you like want to have the card waiting for you at your address when you get there. That was just me being like paranoid and like over prepared, so you definitely don't have to do that. You can do it when you get here, and you can also just get it from a machine. If you don't need a registered one, you can just go to any like Myki machine and like top up and get the card there, so that's really not that big of a deal. I was just being paranoid as usual. The next thing I wanted to do, but again didn't end up doing because of my bank card and stuff, was having a mattress like waiting for me here for my first night. The one that I wanted ended up like going out of stock at the store near us, so I didn't end up doing that, and like it was rejecting my credit card again. So the first day we got here, we went to Big W and got like mattresses in boxes. So like they're kind of crappy, but they're not bad. So if you want to be extra prepared and you have people like already here that can receive the mattress for you, then I would suggest doing that, just so you have a place to sleep after you know, you've traveled for however many hours to get here and you want to like have a comfortable sleep that night. So the next thing I did, just in case I was asked at the airport when going through customs on this side, was I printed my visa grant form that basically said, yes, I do have a visa. And I also printed my proof of health care sheet. Although it's not a stipulation on this visa to have healthcare, it's definitely recommended. I mean, I would recommend it if you're traveling anywhere, but you don't have to have it in order to get the visa, so just know that. But I think it's a smart thing to do. Also, everything now is done digitally, so you don't actually really have to talk to any border people. Like when you get to the airport, you put your passport in a machine, it prints out a little card, you go to these kind of gate things, you put that ticket thing, that card in the machine, you look ahead into a camera, the camera verifies your identity and basically from your passport information knows if you're traveling on a visa and knows that you have a visa, and then the gates open up, you go through, you collect all your bags and stuff, and then you go up to one of the officers, give them that ticket, and they basically send you on your way. So it's super easy, it's not scary at all. Everything's done digitally. You don't get a stamp in your passport anymore. I know some people like getting those, but everything's done digitally, so you won't get that anymore. Okay, next, things to do once you get here. So you've made it through the airport, you're here, everything was great. So first thing I went and did was verified my bank account. So I went down to the ANZ that I had them send the card to, the branch that I had them send the card to, and went down there and picked up the card, just showed them my passport. It didn't take long. They helped me set up like the online banking in the app, and then I set up my PIN, I got my card. So from there I had my card so I could start spending my money, which is great. Next thing, in the same like hour, I went to Vodafone and set up a phone plan. So phone plans are really cheap here, which is nice. I went with Vodafone because apparently the main three are like Vodafone, Optus, and Telstra. I think Telstra is a lot more expensive, and then one of my roommates had some bad experiences with Optus, so we were just like, no, we're not going to deal with them. So went with Vodafone. Got a plan, I think, for 45 bucks a month. That includes 30 gigs of data and like unlimited everything, plus like 2,000 international minutes if I need them. So super cheap. There's even cheaper than that. The rest of my roommates got pay-as-you-go ones, but I wanted to be on a plan just because you get more for less if you sign up and do a contract. Next thing you need to do if you're going to be working in the country, you need to apply for a tax file number. So in Canada, that's like a SIN number, a social insurance number. In the States, it's like a social security number. It's basically the number that's attached to you so that you can work and so that the government can like track you for tax purposes and stuff like that. So you want to apply for one of those. You can do it once you're in the country, you can do it online. It's really, really easy. You just give, I think, your like your address and like contact info, and then I think you verify yourself with I think you upload a picture of your passport or like a document that you've used to get into the country, and then within 28 days they send it to you. So I got mine I think in like a week or two. It was pretty quick, and they just send it to you on a piece of paper. They don't give you a card or anything, so you really want to make sure you keep that piece of paper, take a picture of it, like have that number, because within 28 days of being employed by a new employer, they're going to ask you for that number, and you need it so that you're not taxed at the highest amount they can tax you at. So with that number, they'll tax you at the regular percentage, whatever it is, but if you don't have that number, they can tax you at the highest possible rate, which is like 50%, like something really crazy, and you don't want to get taxed that much, obviously, so just apply for that number once you get here so that you can work and it's like more legit. Another thing you can do, which I haven't done yet, I've been here for like, I think it's 2 weeks today, or yes, 2 weeks yesterday, you can apply to get like a local ID. So I really want something that like confirms my identity and my address that I live at in case I need to, you know, pick up a package at the post office or something like that. So you can apply based on whatever state you're living in. They'll have different ways to do it. And there's also one you can do through the post office, through Australia Post. There's a card you can get. So I haven't done that yet because there's like, you need to bring in a lot of documentation and like a lot of stuff to do it. I just don't want to have to carry my passport around everywhere, and like I have my driver's license from at home, but it like doesn't have my address here on it. So that's something you can think about getting, as well as a driver's license if you're going to be driving. I think it's pretty easy to get a driver's license if you already had one, like an unrestricted one back at home. So you can consider doing that too. I'll probably get one eventually, but for the meantime I'm not driving at all, so it's fine. So I think that pretty much covers it. Those are the steps I took before I got here. Like I said, I'm someone who's like wants to be over prepared. I get paranoid about stuff. I want to like move somewhere and have things, you know, have all my ducks in a row, so I don't have to worry about anything. So if you're like that, hopefully this video helped you. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Hopefully I can help with anything that you might need. So I'll end this here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!